we worked on the development of this project. We bought this project from the Walker Clinic 5 years ago in 2008 as they consolidated operations down the street here. And as many of you know, the clinic was here for over 21 years, and really during the height of the AIDS HIV pandemic in the mid-'80s, when Councilman Graham was actually leading the clinic at that time and had worked for the clinic for over 17 years, I believe, in the late 90s. So a very integral role in the clinic as it was here. Approximately 4 years ago, we first met with Councilman Graham and talked about the idea of honoring those who worked for and with the clinic over the years, and did some brainstorming along with the leadership of the clinic and some of the local community leaders, many of which I see here today. Thank you again for coming. And we landed on William Cochran as an artist who had done a lot of pieces that kind of embodied what we felt would be a great tribute to those who worked and were served by this great clinic. And we spent the last 4 years refining and going through necessary public space approvals and working with the Office of Planning to create this great monument that we have behind us today. The inscription on the plaque on the side of the wall here reads "Courage, Caring, Compassion." We really felt like that embodied the characteristics of those who worked so closely with the clinic during those challenging years. We're very proud to be part of this public art piece. I want to thank the many people who were involved with it, particularly Councilman Graham, William. A lot of our architecture team is here. Nelson Cates, my colleague Bill Cummings, and David and the rest of the Walker staff who was so instrumental in helping us create this piece of public art. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Councilman Graham to have a few words.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Is everybody warm?
Yeah.
It's very, very special to be here today, and I want to begin by saying how much I appreciate the way in which JBG approached this. Because they came forward right away, and they constantly refer to this as the historic building, which made me feel very old. But it's just the respect that they had for what went on here, and their willingness. I see Ty Reynolds is here. And I thank you and James and everyone else from JBG, because you have a lesser developer would have cared less about this. And you guys really cared about this. And the result is this beautiful memorial. I just want to say that we're here this is really a celebration of the human spirit, because the human spirit that worked in this building, that worked with individuals who very often were very poor, facing what was then thought to be a terminal illness, and was in fact a terminal illness for a lot of people, and had no resources, very little in the way of a network of friends and supporters, often abandoned by their family, abandoned by their employers, and they came to this building as a place of hope and response. And so I think most of that being a celebration of that human spirit. I also want to remember all of the people who did not survive to have this day with us. And if you would indulge me and indulge their memories, if you would just pause for a moment. And we used to call out names. I won't ask you to do that, but many names come to mind, and I'm going to mention Dusty Cunningham and Peter Hawley, who was the medical director, and the presidents of the clinic who served as volunteers during this period. And you probably have others in your mind as well. Hank Card comes to mind, and so many other people who lived this experience and then died from AIDS. And I cherish their memories, and I think of them often. So if you join with me in pausing to remember the people who gave so much. Thank you. I always have an eerie feeling that when that type of memory is summoned up, they come to us. And they're here, and they're with us in their spirit. And I know they were in this building. And so I want to thank David Chalfant for coming, the executive director of the clinic, Don Blanchard, who is doing such a very good work. He's out of town. He's in New England, I believe. And David, before we go to this fabulous artist here, William Carpenter, and I want to thank you, though, for this inspired work, because you're trying to figure out what this should look like is no easy task, and I think you've come up with something extraordinarily special, befitting the occasion. David, did you want to say something?
Sure. I just have to look at one piece of paper because I have a quote, and I don't want to make a mistake of it. Martin Luther King Jr. stated that darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that, and that hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And when I first came to Whitman Walker in 1992, working with Councilmember Graham, then Executive Director Jim Graham, I learned about a love and a compassion towards people who sometimes people wouldn't even touch them. And there was love and there was compassion and there was caring in this building, in this community. And back in '92, we talked about holistic health care, treating the whole person, not just the disease. And here we are in 2013 talking about patient-centered medical home, treating the whole person, not just their illness. So I think in a little ways, Jim was visionary, well, in many ways, but in that respect specifically. And today, Whitman Walker has grown not only into a place that delivers some of the best HIV care in the city, but just some of the best primary care anywhere. And the great thing about Whitman Walker is it's not just a place on a map. It is a commitment to quality and excellence in care. And we're very proud to be able to deliver that today, whether you are gay or lesbian or straight or bisexual or HIV positive or HIV negative. The things that were learned in this building have informed some of the best healthcare in the city. So thank you very much for all of this and your leadership.
Yes, so I would like to introduce the artist William Cochran and also John Coventry is here as well, who was very integral in creating this piece and providing a lot of the expertise behind the lighting and the functionality, working with William. William,
yes, it was a great honor to be chosen for this. I do think it's a celebration, and I think it's honoring something that's very noble. I thank JBG. All they were asked to do was a plaque, and they said it deserves more. That is what a good developer does. And it's an extraordinary thing for a developer to do that. We have loved working with JBG. They're incredible. My partner Teresa is here, who I want to thank. And no public artwork happens by one person in the and this one, John Coventry, supplied the lighting as a donation and the expertise to make it work. So I'm very grateful to John for that tremendous expertise he brings. Pillar of Fire, the title comes from this notion that when we get scared as humans, we tend to bring out these old myths, these old dark myths of the Old Testament God that punishes us and punishes people for sin and things that don't make any sense. It's darkness. And a place like Whitman Walker has to work uphill against that to bring caring and compassion to people caught up in a terrible situation. It's the first responders that we have to focus on in a crisis. We should want to understand the highest and best that humans are capable of. That's why this piece is a celebration. The Pillar of Fire refers to the healthcare workers at Whitman Walker who did in a moment of history something so incredible that it became an example for all of us and for the ages. The Pillar of Fire also comes from this Old Testament story of a light that guided people in the darkness, and that's, in my mind, what Whitman Walker stands for. It means something very noble and very great that's an exemplar for all of us. So I do see it as a celebration. The light is for visibility. It's silence that was equal to death at that time. And these shapes of glass are egg shapes. They're all eggs, shaped because of what was built here, what was created here in response to a very difficult situation. And each shape is 1 degree turned from the other. All the individuals here that were dealt with as individuals and not as some baseless mass of sick people. So it's all about what happened on this site. So I'm very honored to be a part of it. And then in the center, there's a column within the column, and it's like 2 hands that are almost but not quite touching, one reaching down and one reaching up. And you see that from 360 degrees. That gesture, in my mind, symbolizes the courage, the caring, and the compassion that happened here. So that's what it's all about. Thank you.
All right, well, it's cold out, and we have a post-dedication reception downstairs in 2 birds with 1 stone for any of those who would like to join us down on the warmth. And
I think you'll have some take.
Thank you again for everyone for coming out tonight.
Thank you.